Most strokes don't give warnings. And yet, every 40 seconds, someone collapses. Not because of age, but because we ignored the little signs: poor circulation, numb feet, cold toes. Last week, I nearly ignored them too. Until I found a leather-bound diary in a dusty bookshop downtown. And inside it, a 19th century secret that just might save your life. It was a quiet Sunday morning. I was walking alone along Maple Street, the kind of walk you take when your heart is heavy and your thoughts too loud. The air smelled like pine and early autumn. On impulse, I stepped into an old bookstore I'd never noticed before. The wood creaked under my feet. The light was dim, and the shelves were stacked with time. Books bent with age, journals that had outlived their owners. One journal caught my eye, its cover worn, spine cracked, name faded. But inside were the words of a man who had once been given weeks to live. His name was Sebastian Kneipp. A priest. A healer. A forgotten pioneer. He'd been diagnosed with tuberculosis in the 1800s, and no doctor gave him a chance. But Kneipp found water. He began bathing his feet in icy rivers, alternating with warm buckets. And day by day, he came back to life. In his diary, he wrote, "The foot is the second heart." His belief? That by alternating hot and cold water on your feet, you could train your blood vessels, just like muscles. He called it contrast hydrotherapy. And over time, he used it to treat hundreds of patients. Reading his words, I sat frozen on that bookstore bench. What if this simple method, with no side effects, no machines, no cost, could help us today? Could it help my legs feel warm again? Could it bring relief to you, or someone you love, without pills or pain? So, I made a decision. For the next 7 days, I will try Kneipp's method. Morning and night, I'd soak my feet in hot, then cold, then hot again. And I would document everything, just like he did. Because maybe, just maybe, the old ways still hold answers. And maybe, healing doesn't always need to be high-tech. Sometimes, it starts with a bucket, and a little bit of hope. For most of my 60s, I ignored my legs. They'd tingle sometimes. Feel heavy at night. Cold even when I wore socks. But I told myself, you're just getting old. That's what we all say, don't we? We normalize the numbness. Losing circulation is a natural part of aging. I used to sit on my porch, sipping coffee, thinking, well, at least it's not a heart attack. But I didn't realize that poor circulation was already a warning sign. Until one evening, 3 years ago. I was walking back from the grocery store. Only 4 blocks. And yet, I had to stop twice. My calves were burning. I could barely feel my toes. And then, I fainted. Right there, on someone's lawn. The doctor later told me I was lucky. You were minutes away from a mini-stroke, he said. That hit me hard. Because I wasn't in pain, just unaware. They ran tests. Turns out I had stage 2 hypertension and severe peripheral artery narrowing. My blood vessels had become stiff and lazy after years of neglect. The cardiologist, Dr. Marcus Wynn, Harvard-trained, one of the best in Boston, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Mr. Bennett, if we don't improve your circulation in the next 6 months, your heart won't last the next 5 years." That broke me. But Dr. Wynn wasn't just a doom-teller. He gave me hope. He showed me a 2021 study from the American Heart Association. It demonstrated how contrast foot baths improved arterial flexibility and reduced systolic pressure in people over 65. He handed me a 10-page guideline with charts, diagrams, and foot-soak protocols. And then he smiled and said, "This isn't just folk medicine. It's science now." So I did what any stubborn old history teacher would do. I treated it like a personal project. I read everything I could about Kneipp hydrotherapy. I watched lectures, joined forums, and even wrote down foot-soaked times by the minute. I set 2 buckets by my rocking chair. One hot, one cold. Every evening at 7 p.m., for 30 days straight. I did the routine like a ritual. And little by little, something changed. By the 3rd week, I could walk to the post office without stopping. My socks stopped feeling like ice. And at my next checkup, blood pressure, down 18 points. Circulation, dramatically improved. Dr. Wynne chuckled and said, "Well, Harold, looks like you've just outlived the textbooks." I didn't heal with machines. I didn't rely on expensive treatments. I just stood on the shoulders of those who came before, like Kneipp, like Wynne. And today, I share not as a teacher, but as a man who nearly missed the warning signs. So if your feet ever feel forgotten, maybe it's time to remember them. Day 1. The buckets were ready. One filled with steaming hot water. The other, cold from the fridge. I sat on my porch, dusk settling in. I wasn't sure what I expected. Maybe a spark. A jolt. A miracle. But the truth? The first dip was strange. The second, uncomfortable. My legs tingled, and my heart raced a little. I doubted everything. But something surprising happened on day 4, and that changed everything. Day 2 to 3, doubt and resistance. By day 2, my inner voice kicked in. This is silly, Harold. Buckets won't fix arteries. I wanted to quit. I almost did. But then I remembered something Dr. Wynne said. The body adapts to patterns. Repetition trains the vessels. So I kept going. Hot, 3 minutes. Cold, 1 minute. Repeat. 3 rounds. Every night, without fail. Day 4, the shift begins. Day 4. I woke up and I felt different. My toes didn't feel like pebbles. My legs were warm. And most shockingly, I slept through the night. No tossing. No cramps. I opened the Kneipp tracker I had printed and scribbled. Day 4, circulation better, sleep, 8 hours solid. Small win. But to a man in his 70s, it felt like gold. Day 5 to 7, data plus dignity. By day 6, I started taking numbers. I measured my blood pressure before and after. Just a little shift, from 146/92 to 134/86. Nothing magical. But real. More than a placebo. I emailed the data to Dr. Wynne. He replied. Impressive, Mr. Bennett. The method is sound. Keep going. His words gave me strength. And that night, I added one more line to my tracker. Confidence, returning. By the end of the week, I bundled all my notes into a single PDF. I called it, Kneipp Bath Log, 7 Days to Circulation. You can download it below this video. Join our Facebook challenge, we're doing this together. You don't have to believe yet. Just begin. It had been 7 days. 7 buckets. 7 pages in my tracker. And dozens of quiet moments with my feet in water, wondering if it was all just a nice story. I needed answers. So, I booked a follow-up with Dr. Wynne. He scanned my notes. Looked at the before and after numbers. And then he smiled. That knowing smile that says, you did better than expected. Mr. Bennett, he said. This is what we call vasodilation training. It's not folklore anymore. The American Heart Association recommends thermal contrast in some post-stroke and hypertension rehab cases. You applied it consistently. That's rare. He printed out a study summary, 2023 meta-analysis from the Circulation Journal. showing how hydrotherapy can improve endothelial function in aging adults. I read it twice that night. But what he said next, that changed the way I see every older person I pass on the street. Dr. Wynn leaned back and said, "Harold, you didn't just improve your blood flow. You gave your body a rhythm again. And that's what keeps us alive, rhythm. You may never need pills for this again. Just don't stop. And maybe, help someone else begin." That night, I walked home. Not fast. Not with pride. But with a purpose. And a strange, comforting thought. Maybe this journey wasn't just for me. Maybe it's a story I'm meant to pass on. And that's why I'm talking to you today. So if you've made it this far, don't just watch. Try it for 7 days. Use the tracker. Talk to your doctor. Don't wait for a collapse on the lawn. And if it helps, tell someone. Maybe you'll be the Kneipp in their life. If you're still here with me, I want you to know something. You're not too late. You're not too broken. And you're not alone. Because what I've come to understand, after 76 years on this earth, is that healing doesn't start with doctors, or pills, or devices. It starts with permission. Permission to pause. To pay attention. To say, maybe I matter enough to try. That's what this whole journey has been for me. Not about fixing. Not about becoming someone else. But about remembering. How to feel, how to breathe. How to come back home to my body. So if you feel the stir. If your feet ache at night. If your legs feel cold, no matter how many socks you wear. Try this. Not because I told you to. But because, deep down, you want to believe there's still something simple, and true, that can help. Here's how I started. I printed the Kneipp 7-day tracker. I found 2 buckets, nothing fancy. I showed up every evening. 10 minutes. No phones. No rush. I noticed things. Sleep. Warmth. Calm. Some days it felt like nothing. Other days, it felt like everything. And that's how life works. It whispers before it shouts. That's why we made a group. A place where people like you, folks with cold toes and warm hearts, come together and try again. The link is in the description. No fees. No gimmicks. Just people who still believe in listening to their bodies. And helping each other walk the road. If you've watched till now, you've already done more than most ever will. Because you paused. You listened. You let a stranger, an old man on a rocking chair, walk beside you for 30 minutes. And maybe, just maybe, that's the beginning of something bigger than either of us. Because when one of us heals a little, we make it easier for the next to begin. So, friend, don't wait for pain to push you. Let care pull you forward. The buckets are waiting. Your breath is ready. Your rhythm is still in there, waiting to be remembered. Begin today. Begin quietly. And if it works, pass it on. That's all I ask.